All right, looks like I'm on. All right, from whichever corner of the globe that you hail from, good morning and good evening, town folks. This is your boy, the boss, and I'm here for this week's Xbox Gaming Roundtable. Currently, I believe most of my most of my panel has probably been abducted by their families and other matters. So for the first time, I am going to actually try something different. I'm going to actually go ahead and post the link into this podcast into the chat so that if anybody happens to pop in and they want to come in and get them a little bit of mic time, you know, you know, just have a little back and forth, then providing that you are civil, then I'll go ahead and just drop the link right now. So, all right, I just dropped the link. And as I stated, if any viewer comes in and wishes to get a little bit of mic time with the boss, feel free to click that link and come on in, and I'll give you a little bit of shine time. But as usual, this is the roundtable, and the whole purpose of the roundtable is basically just more of just people, gamers just sitting and it's informal, just sharing information and bouncing things off of each other to get our thoughts on various topics that are going on right now with gaming. All right. Well, first off, I need to apologize for starting this a bit late. I had some family matters that I need to attend. But for my first topic, basically, as you can already guess, which this is going to be a hot topic going on for for everybody throughout this entire week. Matter of fact, this topic is probably going to close out the entire damn month, and that's the acquisition of ZeniMax and Bethesda by Microsoft to be part of the Xbox Game Studios. Now, it was already an impressive roster of 15 studios altogether, which is now bolstered all the way up to a whopping 23. That should be more than enough, bodies to keep, content just constantly coming into Game Pass and onto the platform for years to come. Um, Currently, right now, there's a lot of people who are, as you can guess, not very not very happy about this. Um, I mean, it's the thing about it is business is business. It is what it is, and a lot of things are coming to light where this is something that didn't just happen overnight. This is something that's actually apparently, from what it seems, has been in the works for a good long while. Because even I was not even aware of it myself that Bethesda was up for sale. They wanted to sell. Um, I'm kind of wondering if this is something that you know could be a contributing factor to say like how Fallout 76 um the quality of that was. But I mean it's hard to say because I mean when they turn around and still churn out bangers like like Doom Eternal and stuff like that, it kind of like makes you wonder that okay, well maybe that couldn't be it, but it's just something to just kind of like kind of chew on a bit. So they've purchased they purchased ZeniMax Bethesda for almost $8 billion, which makes this the biggest, the biggest in as far as the gaming history goes, the biggest buyout to date, which is only followed by the acquisition of Disney with LucasArts. Before that, Disney Marvel, and under that, Microsoft buying Mojang for Minecraft. But as I said, there's a lot of people who are not very pleased about this, which is quite understandable, because the first thought that's jumping into everybody's head is that, oh, now I'm not going to be able to get my Elder Scrolls 6 or my Fallout 5 fix. I'm not going to be able to get my hands on the next Doom. Now, first and foremost, from the words of Phil Spencer himself, the head of Xbox, he did state that they were going to look into each title on a case by case basis. But that, unfortunately, I'm going to have to break it down to where that's just corporate jargon to try to more or less soften the blow. Unfortunately, there's no way to soften this blow. So, other than games that are currently out for right now for current gen, and the games that are already under contract to come to other platforms, such as Tokyo Ghostwire and Deathloop, which were both meant to be year-long timed exclusives for the PlayStation 5 platform. Those titles are what Phil means by the case-by-case basis. So they are planning to honor those contracts and let those games ship day and date onto the PlayStation platform without any interference. And I believe this includes they will fully support it. Any issues they will patch. They will provide updates, DLC, and everything and so forth. But of course, as you know, once the year ends, then those games will be brought over to Xbox, and of course, then from there into Game Pass. But more newer titles, such as Elder Scrolls 6, the next Doom, and of course the upcoming overly hyped uh, space RPG Starfield. Those unfortunately will be Xbox exclusives. They will be exclusive to the Xbox platform, which therefore means the ecosystem, which not only includes the consoles, both the Series X and S, but also Windows PC, which is of course through Game Pass, and powered through Game Pass, xCloud, meaning that you will be able to pretty much stream these games from your Android mobile device. Currently, there's talks of trying to expand to the iOS platform, but I'm not sure if talks have resumed with Apple, but I do know that Phil is still ears open, listening to what our good folks at Apple are, you know, are willing to say. So as upsetting as it may come across to a lot of folks who are probably listening, or those who will watch this later when it's up on YouTube, unfortunately, as much as you don't like it, you're gonna have to get an Xbox. Now, the thing about it is that look at it this way: even if you're somebody who has quote unquote allergies with the Xbox platform, for your own various reasons, whatever they may be, you still have at least two other viable options. And that would be the PC, and also, as I said, using the Game Pass app on your smartphone. And even if you don't want to use Game Pass, these games will be day and date available on platforms like Steam, as well as the Windows Store. So you will be able to get your hands on them no matter what. It's just unfortunately they will not be available for PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, or the Nintendo Switch. Now, I'm trying not to make it come across as an angry rant or anything like that, but here's the thing. As upsetting as it may be, and as much as many of you may want to shake your fist at the sky and curse, the higher being of whatever religion that you follow. For those of you who are being, trying to be quote unquote funny, trying to have a good old laugh, and just pretty much outright being, console trolls, you kind of brought this on yourselves. Instead of just, as I said in my previous videos and others, shout out the New Legal and E-Rock and Sega Man, as well as Unlimited Productions and stuff like that, and ODT Reaper. We've constantly said it. Keep your car in your lane. Enjoy your game. That's all it is. Enjoy your game of choice on your platform of choice. Then you have nothing like this to really fret or worry about. I have my platform allergies too. I don't care. I mean, I have nothing heated against Nintendo, but I don't deal with them. Same with Sony. I just don't game on those platforms for my own personal reasons. But when things like, say, like Spider-Man got locked down to PlayStation, it was a little bit of a shocker, considering Spider-Man used to always be a third party. But at the end of the day, it was like it is what it is. You you either deal with it or you don't. And my option was that I just choose don't, because there's so much other stuff out there to get my hands on and play. So I know this is going to lead into the whole thing of, once again, just like with Sea of Thieves and when Grounded landed, which is funny after all the clowning that both of those games got from the PlayStation side, and I guess a few Nintendites. Then came the port begging. Then came the Change.org, um, um, little surveys and stuff like that. The petitions to try to more or less try to call yourselves forcing Phil's hands to give you Sea of Thieves and Grounded on the PlayStation platform. Why in the world would you want what when you call our games trash, you call our platform trash? It's a bit dubious. It's real questionable. If it's trash, why are you begging for it? You don't need that. You good. From what it sounds like with your own titles, you cats are good to go. And from what I'm hearing from a lot of you, especially on Twitter, it sounds like most of the titles that were available from Bethesda was trash anyway. So if that's the case, then I'm going to imagine there shouldn't be no more tears in the streets, and by the launch of these consoles, there shouldn't be any port begging for the next Doom, the next Fallout, the next Skyrim, and especially Starfield. There shouldn't be a shred of port begging whatsoever, I would imagine. You know, if you're considering all the games, just because now Bethesda's part of Microsoft, you're now considering them trash. We shouldn't have to see or hear a single word about, you know, any links to change.org for begging Phil and Matt Booty and all them to, you know, and Sadia to make a consideration to share those titles. Y'all brought this all on yourselves. A lot of you, I guess, equate Phil to the same corporate mindset of Sadia himself, as well as Ryan, who runs the PlayStation division. Phil is, as we said before, is a gamer. He was a developer, but he's primarily a gamer. And he is very, very active on social media. So don't think the likes of him, as well as Aaron Greenberg, Jason Ronald, and all of them, don't think for a second they don't see y'all little pot shots about LOL Xbox has no games. Tee is nothing but trash box. Don't think for a second they don't see any of that. They are quite aware of it. So take a bow, clap your hands, give yourself a round of applause. You signed your own death certificate. And I hate for this to come off as a console war type of driven narrative, but we were staying in our lane. And even for what little bit of trolls we have on this side that, you know, sneak their way over into your camp to drop a bomb or two, then you concentrate on those trolls. But instead, the majority of you choose to make this a big, you know, just blown out of proportion war. There was no need for that. There's enough gaming for everybody. But as I said, give yourselves a round of applause. This is because of you saying this. I wouldn't say Phil took it to heart, knowing him and his mindset. I think to him it was probably like, oh, gee, maybe that's the reason why we can't seem to, you know, get these guys interested or talking more nicer about our platform. Maybe it's because we don't have enough games. I know. We'll buy Bethesda. That'll get them interested in coming and checking out Xbox. Because frankly, as far as I can see, the dude doesn't appear to have a single mean bone in his body. At least of all, not, you know, not intentionally mean. So as they say, made the bed, sleep in it. And those of you who, you know, choose PlayStation, once was Xbox, and then, you know, decided to go ahead and you know, jump your butts across the river, don't come back over. But as stated in my previous video, I can't tell you where to spend your hard-earned cash. It's your money, your wallet, your bank account. Go ahead and buy that place, you know, buy that Xbox. You know, get your gold or your Game Pass. You know, nobody can't stop you from that. You're a grown person. That's you. But you're no longer part of the conversation. So any attempts of trying to, you know, make little videos or trying to get on social media and stuff like that, zip, don't bother. So moving away from that topic, because there's going to be plenty more to go on about that, you know. So, you know, the short of it, Microsoft now owns Bethesda. Well, ZeniMax, which does include Bethesda, as well as id, the makers of Doom, um, and the guys who do Wolfenstein and stuff like that. Sorry, my brain's freezing up. From that topic going to the next, it appears that uh, that Phil and the gang are not done, which pretty much we all kind of already figured that, because he did stated that they were going to more or less go on a pretty much straight out buying spree of a lot of studios. It seems that the big angle with this is that they're trying to not so much as grab studios that will be potentially beneficial for Game Pass, but it's also because they wish to try to keep these studios from falling into the hands of, say, the likes of their biggest competitors, which would be Google with Stadia, Amazon with their own upcoming platform, and the worst of all, they really want to try to keep them off of is Tencent, which I don't think any Western-based studio needs to be involved with right now because of apparently some real nasty political/business issues going on with I guess you could say the rest of the world in China. And because of this mess, it seems Epic is kind of a little bit wrapped up in this as well. I mean, it sucks, but there's no sympathy from me from me about it, because you know, I don't know, just really don't have much love for Epic or especially Sweeney. So whatever's whatever. So that was the main thing that they were looking to do. So now they're still looking to buy more studios. There's still the long-standing rumor of, before this Bethesda thing was even announced, there was still two studios that have always been constantly rumored and in and out of conversations that everybody seems to have forgotten, which I guess that was what Phil and Matt and all them wanted you to do, was kind of forget about them. One studio is supposed to be a Polish studio, the other one is a Japanese studio. A lot of people keep bouncing on the whole idea of, oh, it's Sega, which goes into the next topic. Because of a lot of things that's been popping up across social media, and a post that was on 4chan, a lot of people are under the impression that Sega is going to be the next big acquisition, and that it's going to be announced tomorrow at the Tokyo Game Show. Unfortunately, I have to go ahead and pull the pin and drop this grenade off. Sega is not going to be bought. If Sega was going to be bought, Sega would have been bought pretty much well over 5 years ago. Sega is not the same Sega that we all knew and loved and grew up with, that used to make smash hit after hit after hit and not sit there and rely upon, Sonic after Sonic. This Sega that we have right now is a shareholders company. That's all it is. It's just a holdings firm that basically milks what cash they can from the current IPs that are up in their cupboard, and that includes a lot of the Sega IPs, including the patents for a lot of Sega's technologies. They own those. They'll milk the hell out of them, and as long as they are still able to live and breathe off of the nostalgia factor, they are not going to stop anytime soon or go anywhere. And I believe they've been approached many times before about being bought, and they refuse. Another thing a lot of you have to realize is that in order to buy something from someone, they have to want to sell. And that's kind of the big thing right there, is if they don't want to sell and they're not ready to sell, they're not going to sell. The thing with Bethesda wanted to sell. And apparently they've been wanting to sell for like a very long time. But as far as Sega goes, the flags have not been risen that show that they are ready to be, acquired by anybody. And as long as they're still making some chunk of change from their various IPs, if it's not Sonic, it's the Persona series and uh what is it? The Shin. Oh God, I can't even think about it all of a sudden. But there's numerous IPs, current modern IPs that they're currently getting paid for. So they are not really hurting. I mean, then again, yeah, but that just wasn't really so on hurting either. It seemed like they were doing pretty decent themselves, but they were open for acquisition talks. Sega is not. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to kill that one and put a bullet through it and tell you right now, don't go in tomorrow looking to see, Phil come across stage saying, you know, Mushimas, Sega, part of us now. It's not going to happen. you know, if anything that will happen tomorrow as far as Sega goes, which maybe some of these little so-called hints that are popping up are going to go over, is it's probably going to be about, say, like them further strengthening their so-called partnership, for lack of better words. It's a little hard for me to really say it's a partnership at times, especially when you look up, when you look up the lineup and you look under the day that's supposed to be meant for Sega, you see a whole lot of titles listed, but you see nothing that's listed for Microsoft. Not even the Phantasy Star Online 2 that's meant for the Series X and S. You don't see them, which is a bit head-scratchingly weird, considering that, aren't these guys supposed to have some sort of, quote-unquote partnership going? Once again, it is what it is. Make what you want of it. So I'm not going to sit here harping about it. But I will just tell you right now that I don't think it's going to be something along those lines of Sega or Microsoft announcing, that, Sega is now part of, Xbox Game Studios. If there's any sort of a big announcement, I will probably look at, if there was any sort of an acquisition whatsoever that was Japanese based, I would say probably during their celebration of Japanese gamers and game developers, they probably might go ahead and drop the announcement of who this mystery Japanese developer is. That's been part of the Polish Japanese acquisition rumors. I would hope that that's what we get to see. And I keep throwing these names out there because that's just me, praying to the universe to, hey, make it happen. I would really like for the acquisitions to actually be, if anybody, Grounded Inc., who is led by the guy who brought us tremendous classics such as Panzer Dragoon, and for Xbox, Phantom Dust, and Xbox One, Crimson Dragon. I would love to see them come back, because I do know that his name is I believe Yoshio. I believe he wanted to make a sequel to Phantom Dust, and it did show at an E3 a few years back, where they did the little CGI cut scene of the girl and this guy with glasses and a trench coat, fighting each other at a fountain. And that was supposed to be Phantom Dust 2. But for some odd reason, it kind of just fell through, and he still wants to do it. He also wanted to do a sequel to Crimson Dragon, but he wanted to try to vibe off of the formula he did for the Panzer Dragon RPG that was back on Saturn. He wants to try to use that same formula, but with the current technology, kind of grow it a bit more. So I'm very pumped to see something like that. And who knows? For those of you who are like really, really, really wanting to see Scalebound come back, these, them of all would probably be, in my opinion, the best team to try to resurrect that. Now, I would say that, given who this is, it would probably change, in a few places, so that it might not be the same Crimson Dragon that that when Platinum was on it, that you've grown to, probably expect to come out at the end. Is probably going to be something a bit different, but that's one thing that could like, bring that, that project back to, back onto the scene. The other acquisition, which I'm very, very strongly hoping for, even more so than Grounded Inc., is Mistwalker, which is led by the one and only Sakaguchi, the guy who created Final Fantasy and pretty much the godfather of Japanese role-playing games altogether. Now, the similarity between the two of these studios is both of them have had very positive working relationships with the Xbox platform. And to me, it would be a little bit more wise and smart of Phil to go with what works. And he's been with the company long enough to have met both of these guys and work and at least spoke with them. And neither one of them has anything negative to say about the platform. And recent interviews, they are very interested in the technology, in the hardware, and they definitely want to come back. So, crossing my fingers, crossing my toes, and hoping that you know if there is any sort of Japanese acquisition announcement whatsoever all throughout Tokyo Game Show, I hope it's either one of those two. But I'm strongly hoping for it to be Mistwalker, so that Xbox can finally have its own in-house JRPG division, so that the likes of like Square can just be, just completely just pushed off into the corner. If they want to give us something, then fine, cool. Just put it on Game Pass. But right now, the way things are, it's probably wise not to sit here expecting anything from that company to come onto a Western box. It's the Nintendo Switch will see something from them first before those of us here on Xbox see anything from them. Despite how hard Phil went over there to work what magic he can, this is what we're dealing with. I mean, look at this. We're just now getting a Dragon Quest game after what, almost close to like over a decade. And the excuse of, oh, it won't sell doesn't hold, it doesn't hold anything. It just, there's no weight to that. So yeah, definitely not seeing Sega being the acquisition in question as far as Japanese goes. So but let's see here. Right now, there isn't any other topics I had in mind. As I stated, I was hoping that I would have had a panel pop in where I could have like bounded a few things off of them and hear if there's anything coming from them. But this all well and good. I shall go ahead and cut this short right now. For those of you that popped in and listen, and those that will listen afterwards, I really appreciate it. You know, go ahead and drop a like or even a dislike. It's all good. And be sure to tune in after 8 this Friday when I do my weekly wrap, where I discuss all the hot topics that culminated throughout this entire week going into the weekend. So it would also probably be something good to like pop in and kind of like hear my thoughts, and if I have a panel with me, all of our thoughts collectively regarding anything we saw for Tokyo Game Show. So, but on that note, once again, appreciate anybody that popped in. This is the boss. Have a good evening.